because we've been talking about pesticides on this show because there's a department called the Vector Department. You probably never even heard of them. You might have seen them out spraying pesticides in different places, and they pretty much have a license to spray all kinds of different poisons, and there's very little oversight. And how they conduct business, you have to ask yourself, is this something that's benefiting public health, or is this something that's benefiting this department and the funding and the budgeting that's coming to this department? Now, these pesticides, we may think that, oh yeah, these are safe. The government watched out for us. Well, sorry to buzz your bubble, everybody, but please don't think that. Because you are in danger when you start thinking those kind of thoughts. That you're safe. No, you're not safe. And most of that food you're eating out there is a negative. It's not adding to your health. It's not making you healthy or adding to your lifespan. It's shortening it. It's taking your energy away. It's giving you diseases. Okay? That fresh stuff, right from the farmer, just picked. That's what you want. That's the number one choice every time. Now, we've had Tiffany Anderson on our show now. We've been doing an ongoing series because what I have discovered in the 8.5 years that I've been doing this show is our number one enemy is pesticide. And farmers weren't going to do it at first because they said, oh, people will never buy poison food. But guess what? You're doing it. You're buying it all the time like it's nothing. They have you so brainwashed into thinking that's okay. Plus, environmentally, how are we solving our problems environmentally? Because widespread pesticide use. These hurricanes, widespread pesticide use. And so, I really want to encourage people to start paying attention, listen to our guest, Tiffany Anderson, what she has to say. She's trying to educate us on the truth of what's really going on because this is affecting us. It's affecting our children and how smart they are and whether they have birth defects and autism and asthma and all these different kinds of problems. So that's why we're here, people. Yeah, we're here because we want to save lives. We want to protect our children. We want safe communities. And if you tune into KCARadio.com, you can see that I have about 25 monarch butterflies right here in a container in front of me. And I tell you, I was up at 4 o'clock this morning. These butterflies are a lot of work. And we had a great time yesterday. People came over to our Blue Monarch Project nursery, which we're going to be doing today again at 7:30. We're releasing monarchs. If you want to come help us release the monarchs, show up to 25823 Chula Vista Street. Go to bluemonarchproject.com. I'll be sure. I think I put the poster up there, but I'm going to double check. But if you find us on Facebook, Blue Monarch Project, all the information is on Facebook. Show up at 7:30. We had people come last night. We had such a great time. People got to hold the monarchs, release them, learn all about them, see caterpillars. We looked at our mutants. Unfortunately, there's a disease that's affecting them and not a pretty sight. But we have to face facts. So, I think pesticide is a big problem. Not only killing the monarchs, but making the environment unfriendly because we're affecting so many things that we don't even have a clue of. But we're gonna hear from Tiffany again. We're about ready to cut to Tiffany Anderson, but I want you to tune into KCARadio.com and see our incredible monarchs. Please come and join us today at our nursery, 25823 Chula Vista Street, 7:30. Help us release the monarchs. We don't expect any payment, but We sure could use some help buying soil, seed, and pots, everyone, because these are hungry caterpillars to make this stuff happen. There's a lot that goes into it, a lot of money that goes into it. But if we all just like pitch in a little bit, it is so magical having monarchs flying all in your yard. It's the way it's supposed to be. It's just relaxing just seeing them. We're so stressed out anymore. Uh, and they're trying to tell us something. So please join us tonight, 7:30, everyone, and find us. Tune into KCARadio.com, and we'll be having Tiffany come in on Skype, and you're going to want to hear what she has to say. So, are you there, Tiffany?
I am, Elaine. I'm here.
Woo! Did you hear me? I mean, we released like 50 monarch butterflies last night.
That's awesome.
Can you believe it? I can't even tell you how many pots these hungry caterpillars that turned into butterflies, of course, went through, and just the cleanup. That's what I was doing all day long, because when they're born, they drip blood, and plus some of them were not healthy, and you don't want to spread the disease, so you have to keep everything clean, because what our goal is to create healthy monarchs that are not spreading spores everywhere, because the disease, every time they flap their wings, they're spreading spores that spreads the disease. So it's a really big problem when every time the butterfly flaps its wings that it's spreading the disease. So,
right.
So that's what we're trying to do. So I hope.
This is interesting, Elaine. It's whatever I share with you about my story with Vector, because it started in 2004 and we're in 2018, and I'm still tied to them emotionally, very much so, and talking about this stuff has been so healing for me. But what's interesting is that I am just getting into the butterfly. I would have never not thought, this is where my life would be taking me. But I'm in the weeding stage of an area of the garden club in Lodi where I'm weeding the butterfly garden. And I thought I started watching videos because I wanted to learn how to raise monarch butterflies. And so then I went for a walk today after I was done weeding, and I thought I was going to have to actually raise my own milkweed, but somebody actually had planted milkweed, so I found it out there in our Lodi Lake. So it's really, I think it's interesting how you and I found one another, one, and I'm able to share my story, but two, it's like this isn't going to end with when we're done talking about mosquito abatement, because I'm entering into your world, which is the butterfly world, and I know that you're going to have a lot for me to glean from. So I think this is...
Well, I just want to add that you say this has been healing, but I think it's probably been healing for listeners as well, because I think the stories that you talk about, the sexual harassment in the workplace, the kind of situations, being exposed to toxic substance in the workplace, but just the manipulation that happened to you, and the stress that you had to go through, other people, how they're affected, how they're used. You almost like get set up.
Elaine, I know we're like limited on time, and I really pulled out some stuff to delve into. Like, here are my medical records. I don't know if you can see, I can't see you, so I don't know if you can see me, but right here are my medical records. And then behind me I have my second computer set up, and I actually have, there's all these areas that we can go into when we start talking about vector control. And so I have my retaliatory evaluations pulled up if we wanted to go in that route. I have the doctor and the attorney who wrote a presentation that they did. They did this presentation in Los Angeles, in San Francisco, in San Luis Obispo, in Fresno, Orange, it says Orange, Ventura, San Bernardino, and San Diego. Oh no, I'm so sorry. They did the presentation in 2 places. All the places that I named that's where all the firms are for this Stockwell, Harris, Wolverton, and Mule. And then this Thomas Allums, the doctor that Eric Helfrey did his presentation with, which was titled Cancer Presumption Claims, the Law and Science Behind Presumptive Cancer Claims and Rebutting the Same. So here I file a exposure claim. And first of all, when an employer takes out an insurance policy, the insurance carrier has to know the risks of a job. They have to assess what is the risk and the damage that could come from
Yeah, like if
this.
you were an extreme athlete, the risk assessment would be much higher.
Exactly. So when you are insuring a pesticide company, you have to know that, I mean, and it's supposed to come out of the employer's pocket because they're the ones doing business. It is not supposed to come out of the employee's pocket. The employee is not supposed to have their medical care or cut off because they want to save their clients money, because that's fraud. And so this insurance carrier who's fighting the insurance claims, they assigned me a doctor, and the doctor that they assigned me to assess whether or not I had work-related injuries, his name is Thomas Allums, and at the very same time that he was going to they are called in our work comp system in California. They have an AME, which I've never seen an AME, and that's usually when you're represented by an attorney. You're seen by an AME, and an AME is more fair and less corrupt. But a QME, qualified medical evaluator, they are a doctor who sees you for legal purposes only. They do not treat you at all. And so I was assigned to this QME. And I did some research on him before I went to go see him, and lo and behold, him and the opposing counsel had done this whole power presentation on how to fight the very claim that I had filed in my workplace. So I
So in other, so the law, there was some of the lawyers involved in your case that were at the same time teaching how to not have to pay patients with cancer to pay the insurance claims, how to get out of paying insurance claims to cancer patients, which it's
Not
like,
only that, Elaine, not only you got that part correct, the other part was that this attorney was the one that was handling. This attorney handled all the employees' claims up until I discovered what I discovered. But the doctor that he sent me to, he was doing presentations. They had done 2, and they're out of town presentations, so they're off going and doing what do you call that?
check your microphone a little bit, Tiffany.
Am I? I did something a little different today. Hold on.
Actually, your connection is starting to be lost. So, if you could just hang up and call right back, that'll probably fix it.
Okay.
Okay, Tiffany's going to hang up and call right back. But the vector department is, like I said, it's this department that uses millions and millions of dollars to spray pesticides. Now, this department wants to stay around. They want to keep all the jobs. They want to keep their funding. So they have high-tech labs in these labs, they have all kinds of mosquitoes, infected mosquitoes. They can manufacture mosquitoes in this lab. They could actually manufacture a breakout in the lab. We have no one making sure that none of these things are really happening. There's a board of trustees that gets paid hardly any money, gets paid hardly any benefits. I don't think they're very motivated to keep a close watch or challenge things that are happening. And the people that are in power have been in power so long that it's really hard to make any kind of changes. And when you're an employee, you don't have very much power at all. Isn't that right, Tiffany? Like that was, I was just talking about what
I
it's.
think it's a ton of that, but our board of trustees actually, although they don't get, they get like a $50 stipend or something like that. But what they do is they did book themselves in health care. And one of our board of trustees is he actually was the manager of Mosquito and Vector Control District, and it would be my presumption that the reason why the board gave themselves health care is because as a manager he had health care there for a long time, but he must have run out, and so in order to protect him, they just gave all the board members health care. But they also got to go on those trips. So, you know, they benefit in other ways. They're farmers, and so, you know, they benefit. They don't get a salary, but they get other benefits.
When did they ever challenge, and when did the board of directors ever call out anything done by the Vector department and criticize them for what they
the one I don't want to, you know, I don't want to say his name because he's elderly and he's like, you know, I know he's the manager. He was the manager that retired. I don't want to say his name because I don't want to like harm his family or anything. But he told me to sue. So instead of him doing his job like he should, he told me to sue Vector. That was his answer. And then like I got a message from another board member who, you know, he was supposed to, when I called the whistleblower hotline, and the manager had done his own investigation. This board member was supposed to be the one to handle the problems that were going on in the workplace. But he just sent me a text just the other day, and he's like, how are things going? Just like, so I wrote him and I told him, I said, for your information, Elaine from Smart Health Talk is going to have Jake do a few episodes on the effects that Vector had in his home and his life. I said she doesn't like Vector very much after her own experience in her area, so hold on to your seat. I always knew I would write a book to recoup the financial losses I incurred, but I really think this will turn into a movie. Mike, his name is Mike Manna, and I said, Mike, through all of this, it is my hope and prayer that you and those who don't have a relationship with Jesus come to a salvation of grace in a deep and intimate way. I tried to warn Janine about the risks of cancer, and I'll be damned if she didn't end up with cancer. And it breaks my heart to know the truth and have people ignore the facts. I have three main objectives. One is to change policy so pesticide applicators have full medical coverage for life. Two, to bring to attention and to begin to change policy with the California work comp system. And three, to be fairly reimbursed for my losses. And to me, fair is $1.5 million non-taxed and non-medical appointed. All my injuries were a result of intentional negligence, conspiracy, and malice. I know for a fact Vector has paid above and beyond that in legal fees to their endless law firms. The next time you're sitting at the boardroom table or having coffee discussing me,
get real and let my words be known. Sincerely, Tiffany Anderson. And
Right
so
on, girl. Woo!
wait, that was just like 2 days ago, so it's like the boards, they're still, I mean,
Well, the
they
fact
have
that he reached out to you, obviously, he must have heard something that you were, over talking about the Vector department. So,
I've taken every episode that we've had except for the last two and sent it to the County Board of Supervisors. I've sent them to my attorney. And so, I mean, people should be talking, and hopefully they'd be doing more than talking, because the agency needs, it needs some oversight. It needs, like, Elaine, I filed a sexual harassment complaint against a supervisor, and this supervisor was able, him and his buddy, they both gave me an evaluation immediately after. And it says, Tiffany worked in both the central and southern region during the performance cycle. I will be evaluating Tiffany for the period. And so Tiffany is not a team player. Although Tiffany has worked here for a number of years, I continue to have to supervise her as a new employee. I was just reassigned to a new location and I was not trained. So, that's so inaccurate. She must decide if work is a priority. Let me see. So, areas of or items deserving recognition. When assigned to clean up the shop for the Christmas party, Tiffany worked very hard and did a nice job. So basically what these men were doing, they were saying that I was...
It's so great that you had those homemaking skills, Tiffany.
I know. And did you get that, Elaine?
Yeah.
And when you go further down, it says I'm incapable of thinking. It took such a hit to my...
No, really? Oh my gosh.
Yes, and lack of ability to driving district vehicles. I'd never gotten in an accident. Yeah, really. I mean, they let the guy who I complained about and his buddy just rip me up one side and the other. And, I found some interesting documents.
And this is all with taxpayer dollars, and the fact that Trump, announced he's going to give billions of dollars to farmers, it's like, oh, because they're going to lose on the tariffs. It's like what? He set himself up so he could be like a hero to the farmers and get their votes, after he takes it away and then he gives it back. And these little games, that employers play with employees as well, like holding carrots in front of their face, making threats, turning people against each other. And this is taxpayer money at work. Your job was a taxpayer job, right?
This is totally tax funds. This one is going to be a mind blower. So the same person that I filed my sexual harassment complaint against, before I filed my complaint, he had given another employee a heart attack. And so when that employee, after this employee was admitted to the hospital, had heart surgery, was returned back to work, he was mandated on March 23rd, 2007, to ride in a vehicle with a guy who gave him a heart attack and two other supervisors to a smart risk management training. The same people who do their risk management is their insurance company. So what should have happened was that guy should have filed a civil lawsuit immediately against the employer because they were totally negligent and they allowed their supervisor to give this guy a heart attack. But when he came back to work, what they did was they made him get in a vehicle with three people who were against him after having a heart attack and made him go to a training on how to conduct himself. Like he was the one who was responsible when they were the ones that were responsible. So even the insurance company, this smart risk management, this IRMA, this AIMS, they contributed to making this man hell worse, you know. So then on July 28th, 2010, they're still in litigations. They're not litigations, they're work comp claims, because he didn't sue them. Instead, they're just claims. So the employer's self-insured. So a memo comes out on July 28th, 2010, and it says my name's on there, and there's 15 other employees, and we're all supposed to pile into it says interview with defense counsel in the matter of Meidinger versus San Joaquin County. It says you are requested, this was sent to me, and you are requested to participate in an interview with the defense counsel in the matter of Meidinger versus San Joaquin County with the Eames number, and it says that's the workers' comp number, ADJ 486529. The interview is scheduled for August 12th, 2010 at 1 p.m. in the office of Eric Helfrey of Stockwell Harris, Wolverton and Mule. And then it gives the address, and then it says each interview will last approximately 20 minutes. The district will provide you with transportation to and from the interview. Do not hesitate to contact me if you have any questions or need additional help. So while I had been relocated, I had injured my knee, and I'm in work comp claims with the same entity that I have to go testify with, but they're willing to take 15 employees during work time, 20 minutes each, and have us all sit at their law firms, not fighting mosquitoes, not fighting West Nile, but fighting for a supervisor who should have been terminated. That's what they do with your tax money. You see, so I don't know if you can see this. Can you see me?
I can see that you're holding up something. I can't see clearly what's on it.
It's got a glare to it, or?
Oh, I don't have my glasses on, sorry.
Oh, okay. So what it is, it's a dairy pond, and it's where I was injured. And so if you can't see it, it won't do any good for me to continue with the story. But basically, when I first was relocated on 6/17/09, I got in trouble for spending too much time on 100 acres of breeding property. So,
and breeding, you mean breeding property, you mean breeding for mosquitoes because it's full of sewage from the dairy farms.
Absolutely correct. So there were 3 ponds, there were 3 dairy ponds on there. There were over 50 horse trough, cow troughs, for the water, and all of those were breeding. There were, let's see, I had it broken up here. There were 60 acres plus 30 acres plus 40 acres plus a 3-acre parcel. There were 2 3-acre parcels, a 10-acre parcel, and a 20-acre parcel. So I added it all up, and all the time I had spent out there. And so, yeah, I got in trouble. I got reprimanded for doing my job, treating, and that is the same property that I was injured on 6/29/2011, and I lost my job. I guess I was probably trying to hurry, because I was afraid I was going to get in trouble or get fired. But it was, kind of ironic that the same place that I got in trouble for, taking too much time to treat, I ended up losing my job because I walked into a metal T-post that was hidden in the ground. And have we ever discussed the knee injury with the T?
Oh yeah, no, not exactly how you got it.
It was about 2:15 in the afternoon, and I was inspecting a dairy pond, and it was one that was known to breed pretty heavy. Normally, the manager and they're supposed to be a supervisor out on site, and they're supposed to meet with you once a day. But I wasn't allowed a supervisor at all. I was not allowed out in Escalon. I wasn't given a supervisor, and employees were not allowed to talk to me. And nobody taught me how to do my job out there. So I'm out there my point with that was that they're supposed to hand out a letter every year to the farmer telling them that they need to keep their dairy ponds clean and give the employees access. Well, they intentionally did not do that, and so my dairy ponds were not scraped and they weren't weed free because my employer wanted the worst conditions for me so that I would quit my job.
So somehow the vector department did something so that the farmer excrement pond that was breeding mosquitoes was worse than it was. By what, they didn't send the letter to the farmer, or
the supervisor's supposed to hand deliver. They're supposed to hand deliver the letter to the farmer, and then they're supposed to have the farmer sign a paper stating that they received the letter, and that every year the supervisor goes out to his region with those pond letters, and he's supposed to give them a letter, and it's supposed to be signed by the manager, and it's supposed to be then the farmer is supposed to sign a document.
Okay, well, we have like 2 minutes, so basically, in summary, what you were saying is that in kind of a revenge action against you for bringing up things that were legitimate things to bring up that were going on in your job, that they actually created a situation that would cause the breeding.
Create more mosquitoes.
Increase more mosquitoes and increase the chances of a West Nile virus outbreak in the process of getting revenge on you. So putting the whole public at risk.
That went on from 2007 into 2011.
Okay, well that is, again, that's taxpayer dollars at work. This is the kind of things. So I just see to me, someone needs to go through like every vector department. We need to reevaluate how we're doing every single thing, because if the dairy farmers are creating these situations too, what can we change what they're doing? And dairy farmers need to get a better PR out there because they're already losing sales.
I'd like to revisit this, like if we get to talk again, I'd like to revisit this because I have,
some ideas. Okay. Yeah. All right, everyone. Smart Health Talk. Go to BlueMonarchProject.com.